If there is one road on Earth that seems almost intentionally designed to challenge the limits of human courage, it is Turkey's Bayburt of Yolu, better known as D915. Stretching over 106 kilometers, this route may look like a remote mountain connection carved into the Pontic Mountains, but for anyone who attempts to traverse it, the real journey is psychological. This is not a road you simply drive. It's a road you survive. What makes D915 infamous is not only its altitude, its unpredictable weather, or its collapsing cliff edges, but the combination of all three. And at its deadliest point, the legendary Soda Sermine Bayburt Sonda Pass, you face the most terrifying feature of the entire route. 29 razor-sharp hairpin bends, each one seemingly crafted to break your nerves, your vehicle, and your sense of self-preservation. Driving here requires a level of focus normally reserved for combat pilots or bomb defusal units. A single lapse in concentration, even for 1 second, can send a vehicle tumbling hundreds of meters down a slope so steep that recovery is impossible. The terrifying reality of D915 is that there are no guardrails. None. Not a single metal barrier exists to catch you, slow you down, or offer even the illusion of safety. If your tire slips, if your steering wheel jerks, or if loose gravel gives way beneath you, the mountain offers no forgiveness. This is a road where locals drive slowly, silently, and with a level of respect normally reserved for natural disasters. Tourists who attempt the route often realize too late that what looked like an exciting challenge is, in fact, a real test of survival. Built in 1916 by the Russian army during the war against the Ottoman Empire, the road was carved by hand and explosives into a mountainside that was never meant to hold wheels. The construction was done not for tourism, not for scenic views, but for military necessity, meaning safety was never part of the blueprint. To this day, large sections of D915 remain unpaved. Dirt, gravel, loose rocks, and crumbling edges make it almost impossible to find stable traction. During dry days, dust reduces visibility to just a few meters. During wet days, mud turns the road into a slick slide with no margin for error. And when fog rolls in, and it often does, the visibility drops to near zero, leaving drivers crawling forward blindly, hoping the next meter of road still exists. Then there is the weather. The Pontic Mountains are brutal. At high altitudes, sudden storms strike with no warning. One moment the sky is clear. The next, relentless rain or snow starts falling, instantly transforming the dirt surfaces into landslide-prone traps. Rockfalls occur frequently, sometimes large enough to block the entire road for hours. But it is the smaller rocks, the ones that fall silently, that pose the most danger. A rock the size of a fist hitting your windshield can easily send your vehicle sliding toward the abyss. Landslides are a constant threat. Heavy storms soften the soil, causing entire chunks of road to collapse without warning. Drivers have recounted moments where the ground beneath their vehicle began sinking, forcing them to accelerate blindly forward, unsure if the next meter would hold or crumble. Another major danger is the width of the road. In many sections, D915 is barely wide enough for a single small vehicle. If a car approaches from the opposite direction, someone must reverse, sometimes for several hundred meters, along a cliff edge with wheels only inches from the void. Even experienced drivers feel their hands shake while doing this. One wrong move and it's over. Snow presents its own nightmare. In winter, the higher sections of the pass are buried under several meters of snow, making the road impassable for months. When snow begins to melt, water runs across the surface, loosening the gravel and triggering minor landslides that can occur right beneath your tires. Some sections require drivers to cross temporary water streams flowing straight over the road, hiding holes and cracks beneath the surface. The altitude brings one more danger: engine strain and brake failure. Climbing the steep, winding slopes overheats engines quickly. Descending causes brakes to overheat and lose effectiveness, especially around the tight hairpins. Many drivers shift into low gear not for control, but simply to avoid burning out their brakes before reaching the bottom. Add to this the fact that cellular connection is weak or non-existent, rescue services are extremely far away, and only highly skilled local drivers regularly use the road. Tourists who attempt D915 without proper preparation often find themselves stranded, stuck, or forced to turn back in fear. The final danger, and perhaps the most chilling, is psychological. The deeper you go, the more isolated you feel. The cliffs grow steeper. The turns get narrower. The drop gets darker. Every instinct tells you to stop, turn around, and leave. But there are stretches where turning around is impossible. You must continue forward, even if your hands tremble on the wheel and your heart pounds so hard you can feel it in your throat. Bayburt of Yolu, D915, is not just a dangerous road. It is a trial of courage, a test of your mental stability, and a reminder that nature can create challenges no human engineering can truly conquer. Thousands travel it every year, but only the most prepared and focused truly understand why it is often called the most dangerous road in the world. If there is a place on Earth where the line between life and death feels thinner than a sheet of glass, it is Bolivia's North Yungas Road, often called simply the Death Road. Nestled high in the Andes, this narrow path stretches about 56 miles, 90 kilometers, between La Paz and Karakoram, plunging from icy mountaintops into humid jungle valleys. But the change in climate is nothing compared to the change in survival odds. This road has claimed so many lives that for decades it held the brutal title of the most dangerous road in the world. To understand the terror of Yungas Road, imagine this: a single-lane dirt track carved into a vertical cliffside, barely 3 meters wide, just wide enough for one vehicle, but somehow expected to carry two-way traffic. Vehicles approaching from opposite directions must negotiate who moves, who reverses, and who clings to the crumbling edge. One side is a rock wall. The other side is a free fall. A 600-meter, 2,000-foot, drop straight into the rainforest below. No barriers. No railings. No second chances. Driving here feels like performing surgery with shaking hands. Every meter demands absolute precision. The mud, the fog, the waterfalls pouring directly onto the road. Everything seems designed to pull the vehicle toward the abyss. And this is not dramatization. For decades, an estimated 200 to 300 people died every year on this road. Entire buses vanished over the edge. Cars were swallowed by jungle slopes. Cyclists disappeared into the mist without ever being found again. One of the greatest dangers of North Yungas Road is its unpredictable, violent weather. The road begins at La Cumbre Pass, nearly 4,700 meters above sea level, where freezing winds cut through clothing like blades. But as you descend, the climate shifts dramatically into humid tropical air, creating a constant battle between rain, fog, and runoff. Mist often reduces visibility to mere inches. Drivers fight to stay centered in a road that offers no margin for error. You can't see the cliffs, you can't see oncoming vehicles, and sometimes, you can't even see your own hood. Then there are the waterfalls. Massive torrents of water cascading from the cliffs above, flowing directly across the road as if erasing the surface beneath them. The force of the water is strong enough to push small vehicles sideways. On a road where inches determine survival, the idea of being pushed even slightly off course is terrifying. But what truly makes Yungas Road unique, and shockingly dangerous, is an old driving rule. Unlike the rest of Bolivia, here drivers keep left, not right. The reason: on the left side, the driver has a clearer view of the cliff edge. Meaning, the person most at risk of plunging to death is the one who must judge the distance between safety and disaster. This rule forces drivers to pass oncoming vehicles while hovering directly over the edge, their wheels often centimeters from the void. Another silent killer is the road surface itself. Much of Yungas Road remains unpaved. The dirt becomes mud during rain, mud becomes slick clay, and clay becomes a death trap. Landslides occur regularly, sometimes breaking off entire sections of the road. Boulder-sized rocks fall without warning. Rain loosens the soil beneath the cliff edges, leaving drivers unaware that the patch ahead is hollow, ready to crumble at the slightest weight. But the road isn't just dangerous because of nature. It's dangerous because of humanity. The route was historically used by large buses and overloaded trucks carrying goods, produce, and passengers between the highlands and the Amazon basin. Many of these vehicles were old, poorly maintained, or carrying more weight than their brakes could handle. The steep descent overheats brake pads quickly, and on Yungas Road, brake failure is a death sentence. Stories circulate of drivers who desperately tried to slow their trucks, wheels locked, engines screaming, before sliding helplessly off the edge. Survivors recall hearing nothing but a long, fading crash echoing from below. Some recount seeing headlights disappear into the darkness like falling stars. Even today, despite the construction of a newer, safer highway, North Yungas Road remains active, especially among tourists eager to experience the Death Road. Cyclists, in particular, travel here for the thrill. But the road has no sympathy for thrill seekers. Wet gravel, narrow bends, and oncoming vehicles create deadly traps. Every year, multiple cyclists lose control and fall into the abyss, their bikes found days later tangled in vines. One of the most haunting dangers is psychological. The road forces drivers to face fear in its purest form. The cliff edges feel as though they are reaching for you. The fog whispers doubt into your ear. The silence of the mountains becomes oppressive. The knowledge that thousands have died here, the ghosts of the road, sits on your shoulders as you drive. Your heart races. Your hands sweat. Every instinct tells you, turn back. Turn back now. But with no turning spaces, you must keep moving forward. North Yungas Road is more than a path. It is a constant negotiation with danger. A place where every mistake is final. Where nature, time, and human error combine to create something truly horrifying. The Death Road earned its name. And even today, it continues to prove why. I took the third road not because it was the easiest, but because it was the only one that forced me to face the truth I'd been avoiding for years. This road wasn't even really a road. It looked more like a forgotten passage. Broken asphalt, weeds pushing up through every crack, and old rusted signposts leaning like they'd given up a long time ago. It was the kind of road you wouldn't notice unless someone pointed right at it. The kind your instincts tell you not to take. But my instincts had failed me too many times already, so ignoring them felt natural by now. The air changed the moment I stepped onto that path. It grew still, heavier, almost like the world was warning me not to go further. But I kept walking because at that point, turning back would have felt like admitting defeat. This road was rumored to lead to the old part of town, the place people whispered about, the place where secrets went to rot. And if there was anywhere the truth might hide, it was in rot. I walked slowly, every step crunching dead leaves under my shoes. There was no sunlight here, not really. Just thin strands of light filtering through the branches above, barely enough to see more than a few feet ahead. The deeper I went, the more the silence pressed against me. Every sound felt amplified. My breath, the beat of my heart, the scrape of gravel under my steps. It felt like someone was listening. Or something. For a moment, I wondered if I had made a mistake. What if this road didn't lead to answers, but to more confusion, more pain? But then I remembered why I was here. I remembered the message I found, the one that turned my stomach cold. If you want the truth, take the third road. No name, no context, just that chilling instruction. And I couldn't ignore it. Halfway down, the scenery changed. The broken pavement transitioned into old cobblestones, uneven and slick with moisture. The trees thinned just enough for me to see a structure up ahead. Dark, tall, and imposing. A house. Or what used to be one. Its windows were blackened, its roof sagging, but it still stood with a strange sense of purpose, like it had been waiting for me. And maybe it had. I approached cautiously, almost expecting someone to jump out. But no one did. The silence only grew thicker. When I pushed open the rusted gate, it let out a long, complaining creak that echoed across the yard. The sound felt like a warning, but my curiosity pushed me forward. I walked up the uneven steps, each one threatening to collapse, and reached for the door. It was partially open, as if someone had walked in just before me. Inside, the air was cold. Not the kind of cold that comes from winter, but the kind that creeps into your bones, the kind that carries the scent of abandonment. Dust coated everything. Broken furniture lay scattered across the floor. The wallpaper had peeled off in long strips, revealing stained wood behind it. Every corner of the house looked like it had a story, and none of those stories were good. Then I heard it. A faint sound coming from the back room. Not footsteps. Not the creak of settling wood. It was humming. A low, slow melody that didn't match the emptiness around me. My heartbeat quickened. I stepped toward the sound, moving slowly, each footstep louder than the last. When I reached the doorway, I froze. A figure sat in the corner, hunched over something I couldn't see. Their back was to me, shoulders trembling, hair long unkempt. And that humming, it was coming from them. My throat tightened. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But I forced myself to speak. "Hello." The humming stopped instantly. The figure didn't move. I tried again. I got a message. It told me to come here. It told me to take the third road. The figure twitched, just slightly, before slowly turning their head. And when I saw their face, everything inside me went cold. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't someone I'd never met. It was someone I knew. Someone I trusted. Someone whose betrayal had started everything. Their eyes were sunken, their skin pale, their expression twisted with something between guilt and madness. "You shouldn't have come," they whispered. My breath caught in my throat. Zoji La Pass is snowbound for much of the year, and when it opens, it's still buried in walls of ice as tall as buildings. The road becomes a frozen ribbon, slick and unforgiving. Even experienced drivers lose control here. I remember gripping the steering wheel as the tires skidded toward the cliff. The vehicle drifted, sliding sideways, and for a split second, all I saw was white sky and empty air. By some miracle, the tires caught traction again. Not everyone is so lucky. This pass has claimed countless lives, slipping silently, invisibly, into the void. When the sun hits the snow, the road turns into a sludge pit. Thick, sticky mud traps vehicles like quicksand. Trucks sink. Buses tilt. Small cars get swallowed whole. There were moments when it felt like the road wasn't even there anymore. Just a suggestion, a vague smear across a melting mountainside. Drivers fight the mud until their engines burn, their tires spin uselessly, and they're left stranded in the middle of nowhere. Fog at Zoji La isn't fog. It's a living force, thick, heavy, and almost sentient. It rolls in without warning, swallowing everything. The road, the cliffs, the cars ahead, the cars behind. I once drove blind for 10 minutes straight, unable to see more than an arm's length in front of me. Every meter felt like a gamble. One wrong turn, one moment of drifting too far to the right, and the drop would take you. The terrifying part? Sometimes drivers don't even realize they've drifted off the edge until the vehicle starts falling. This pass is constantly shedding rock. Big ones, small ones, entire shelves of stone cracking loose from the cliffside. It's not rare to see trucks smashed from above, their roofs caved in like aluminum foil. Driving Zoji La means constantly scanning the slopes above you, knowing that at any moment, gravity might decide it's your turn. What's worse than a dangerous road? A dangerous road packed with vehicles. When the snow melts or landslides block parts of the path, long lines of cars get stuck for hours, sometimes for days. Fuel runs low. Temperatures drop below freezing. People shiver in their vehicles, praying the mountain doesn't collapse on them. There's no turning back. There's no turning around. Once you enter Zoji La, you're committed. Driving on the edge of a cliff for hours shreds your nerves. Your muscles ache. Your eyes burn. One moment of distraction, one blink too long, and your vehicle could slip. On Zoji La, exhaustion can kill just as fast as snow or rock. Zoji La Pass doesn't pretend to be safe. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't warn. It simply offers a brutal truth. If you want to cross, you must earn it. And when you finally descend from the pass, when the cliffs widen, the road flattens, and the air warms, you don't feel victorious. You feel grateful. Because Zoji La didn't let you die. Not this time. Dalton Highway, Alaska. The loneliest, coldest, most punishing road in America. They call it the Dalton Highway, but that name is too gentle, too civilized, too forgiving. Anyone who has driven it, truly driven it, knows the truth. This isn't a highway. This is a test of human endurance. A 414-mile gauntlet through one of the harshest environments on Earth. Stretching from Fairbanks to the Arctic Ocean, the Dalton is so remote that even locals say, if your luck runs out here, nobody will find you in time. I didn't understand what that meant until I took the road myself. The first thing you notice is how quickly the world disappears. One moment you're on a paved road with signs, towns, and power lines. The next, the Dalton swallows all of it. The pavement ends. The dust rises. And suddenly it's just you, the wilderness, and a silence so deep it feels like a physical weight pressing against your chest. There are only 3 small towns on the entire route. 3 lifelines separated by hundreds of impossible miles. The rest. Nothing but tundra, mountains, frozen rivers, and forests that go on forever. It's beautiful. It's deadly. And it knows you're alone. This road is notorious for one simple reason. If your vehicle breaks down, you're on your own. No cell service. No nearby houses. No passing cars for hours, sometimes days, depending on the season. Winter temperatures can drop to -50 degrees Celsius, -58 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold enough to freeze exposed skin in minutes. Engines stall. Batteries die. Fuel thickens into gel. You can be alive at sunrise and frozen by sunset. More than once, I passed abandoned vehicles. Coated in frost, doors open, like the drivers had walked away into the empty wilderness, hoping for a miracle. Miracles don't exist on the Dalton. This highway exists for one purpose: to bring supplies to the oil fields at Prudhoe Bay. And the ones who do it are the truckers. Massive, roaring rigs carrying heavy loads through the most brutal terrain. They're not villains. They're survivors. But if you get in their way, you become a problem they cannot afford. One misjudged turn, 1 second too slow, and those trucks will send a smaller vehicle skidding off the road, swallowed by snow or smashed into gravel. Their headlights appear behind you like ghosts. Bright, blinding, unrelenting. You move aside or you die. The Dalton has no middle ground. The Dalton Highway sits in one of the most volatile weather zones in the world. Storms form out of nothing. Winds whip across the tundra at hurricane speeds. One moment the sky is clear. The next, a whiteout blizzard erases the world. I remember one stretch vividly. I was driving along a ridge when the wind hit, so strong it slammed against the side of the vehicle, pushing it toward the edge. The snow blasted horizontally, turning the world into a swirling nightmare. The road vanished. The sky vanished. The horizon vanished. It felt like driving inside a sheet of milk. And in that moment, Dalton teaches you lesson number 1. If you can't see the danger, it's already too close. Moose taller than cars. Grizzlies that wander across the highway. Wolves moving in packs in the dim Arctic light. Most animals avoid the sound of engines. But not all. A full-grown moose can total a truck. Bears sometimes approach vehicles out of curiosity, sniffing for food. I once had to stop as a herd of caribou crossed the highway slowly, their breath-forming ghosts in the frozen air. It was majestic, eerie, and terrifying, because stopping for too long in the wrong place could mean freezing in place. There is no smooth asphalt here. Only gravel. Loose, sharp, constantly shifting gravel. Summer means mud pits, sudden sinkholes, and flying rocks that shatter windshields. Winter means black ice, slicker than glass and invisible until it's too late. There are hills so steep they feel like roller coasters, except there's no joy at the bottom. Only curves that disappear into fog or snowbanks waiting to swallow you. Every mile is a gamble. On the Dalton, time behaves differently. Hours feel like days. Silence rings in your ears until it becomes noise. The emptiness around you stops being scenery and becomes a presence. Something watching you, judging you, waiting for you to slip. There's a point somewhere north of Coldfoot where the road stops testing your driving skills and starts testing your sanity. Some drivers describe it as the place where shadows move. Others refuse to talk about it at all. When you finally reach the oil fields at Prudhoe Bay, the world looks alien. Snowdrifts as tall as houses. Metal structures coated in ice. Air so sharp it feels like needles in your lungs. You realize something strange. You didn't conquer the Dalton Highway. It allowed you to pass. This time. I first heard about Skipper's Canyon Road from a local, who told me, almost apologetically, that it wasn't a road you simply drove, it was a place you survived. The moment I saw it, I understood exactly what they meant. Carved into the sheer cliffs of New Zealand's South Island, this narrow ribbon of gravel and rock hugged the mountainside like a snake refusing to let go. On one side, the canyon walls rose steep and jagged, threatening to crush anything that dared get too close. On the other, the shot-over river churned violently far below, its rapids smashing against rocks, an audible reminder of the fall that awaited the careless. There were no guardrails, no warnings, just a road so narrow that two cars passing each other felt impossible. One wrong move meant sliding into the abyss, a plunge that would leave no chance of rescue. The drive began innocuously enough, the gravel crunching under my tires, dust rising and coating the windshield in a thin film. But the further I went, the more I realized that this road demanded absolute attention. Every turn brought a new challenge, a sharp bend so tight that the cliff seemed to lean in, as if testing my nerves. I caught myself gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white, muscles tensed, heart racing. The canyon's walls seemed alive, looming closer at every moment, threatening to squeeze the car off the edge. Even seasoned local drivers approached the road cautiously, honking at blind corners and inching forward with patience that bordered on obsession. I quickly learned that the dangers of Skipper's Canyon were more than physical. There was a psychological terror that wrapped around you, cold and suffocating. The road is narrow, often barely wider than the vehicle itself, leaving no margin for error. You can't stop, you can't turn around, and you can't see what lies just beyond the next curve. The shot-over river waits patiently below, hidden until the edge of the turn reveals it in all its roaring majesty. It's impossible not to imagine the consequences of one small mistake. Losing focus for even a second, letting your mind wander for a breath, and you'd be gone. The canyon tests more than your skill. It tests your resolve, your courage, your sanity. Then there were the rocks. Skipper's Canyon is carved directly into shale, a rock that crumbles easily. One moment the wall beside you seems solid, the next loose stones tumble toward the edge of the road. On more than one occasion, I had to swerve abruptly to avoid a rock the size of a football or risk losing traction on the gravel surface. The road itself is unpredictable. Sections appear stable only to vanish under the next landslide, leaving behind a trail of mud, debris, and exposed roots. Even after careful planning, there's no guarantee that the path ahead will be safe. And yet, despite the constant threat, the canyon draws travelers from all over the world. There is an undeniable beauty to the danger, an adrenaline-fueled thrill that grips you with every curve. The river below, white with fury, winds through the canyon like a vein of liquid silver, cutting a path through the deep shadowed gorge. Sunlight catches the water at just the right angle, creating reflections that dance across the rocky walls. The cliffs, rising hundreds of meters above the narrow track, glow golden in the morning light and turn an ominous gray as clouds roll in. Every scene feels cinematic, but the beauty doesn't soften the risk, it heightens it. You feel alive in a way no ordinary road can provide, but only because death feels so close at every turn. As I drove further, I realized the road also demanded humility. Pride or recklessness could be fatal. A few tourists, oblivious to the canyon's history, had taken cars too large for the road, forcing convoys to stop or squeeze past with inches to spare. There were stories of rental vehicles scraping their sides, tipping precariously, or spinning out on loose gravel, only narrowly saved from plunging into the river. Even the most skilled drivers had to respect the canyon's whims. The road doesn't forgive overconfidence, impatience, or distraction. I remember one hairpin bend, a corner so tight that I had to carefully back the car a few meters to allow an approaching four-wheel drive to pass. My hands shook from the effort, every movement deliberate, slow, and precise. Behind me, the river roared like it knew what would happen if I made the wrong move. Ahead, the cliffside loomed, loose stones threatening to rain down. I paused for a heartbeat, taking in the scene, realizing that every meter I traveled on this road was a gamble with nature itself. By the time I reached the end of Skipper's Canyon Road, I felt changed. My arms ached from gripping the wheel, my mind exhausted from constant vigilance, my heart still hammering from the near misses that occurred at every turn. The canyon hadn't just tested my driving. It had tested my courage, my patience, and my ability to remain calm under pressure. The road had demanded my complete attention, leaving nothing for mistakes, hesitation, or doubt. Skipper's Canyon isn't just a road. It's a challenge, a proving ground where skill and nerve collide. Every turn, every drop, every loose stone is a reminder that the margin for error is zero, that nature is both breathtaking and merciless. To survive this road is to earn a sense of respect for the land, for its dangers, and for your own limits. And even after all that, when the canyon finally releases you into the safety beyond, you carry a memory that no ordinary road could ever create. A story of fear, beauty, and triumph rolled into every unforgettable meter.